Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I want to briefly set the stage for today's topic, the new data lifecycle, faster, smarter, AI powered. For many years, organizations treated data as something that moved slowly through a pipeline. We collected it, analysed it, and eventually used it to inform decisions. That model worked when business cycles moved more slowly. But today, the pace of business and the volume of data has changed dramatically. Data is no longer just something we store and revisit later. It's something we need to activate continuously. Every interaction, transaction, and digital process creates signals that can help us understand customers, improve operations, and make better decisions. The challenge isn't simply having data, it's moving through the entire life cycle of that data quickly and intelligently. That's where the new data life cycle comes in. Instead of slow linear processes, organizations are shifting towards systems that are continuous, automated, and increasingly AI driven. Data can be ingested faster, processed in near real time, and transformed into insights much more quickly than before. AI plays a key role in this shift. It allows us to analyze data, but to detect patterns, surface insights automatically, and even enable smarter decisions at scale. In short, the life cycle isn't just faster, it's smarter. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. I'm delighted to introduce my colleague, Jog Raj, who will talk us through what an AI-powered data lifecycle looks like in practice and what it means for organisations that want to move faster and get more value from their data. So with that, please join me in welcoming Jog Raj.
Excellent, Alan. Thank you for that. Just a quick check. Can you see my slides on there with the first slide on there? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So as Alan was saying, we're going to really be taking a look at the data product life cycle, and we're going to take a look at that and see how we can accelerate it and make it faster and reduce the time to value. And as Alan was saying, organizations do face much pressure to deliver data-driven value much faster than before. And the exciting thing at this moment in time is that AI-powered automation is the thing that's really going to put a rocket up into the delivery of data products in there. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at this afternoon. But just a word of caution, this is not a deep dive. We've only really got about just under 25 minutes or so to look into this. So this is just an introduction, and we'll be able to go into more detail either on an individual basis with people, or we will be having some follow-up sessions on these where we will do a deeper dive into these. So this is just a sort of start of a 10 really. So the agenda that we're really going to be following is as is shown here. And the first thing we want to try and do is to understand why traditional data delivery is slow. And then what we're going to do is try and have a common field where we have a common set of definitions and understandings. So we're going to try and define what we mean by data products and data assets and etc. And then there's going to be a small section which says, well, why bother? What actually is the business value of having data products in there? And as I was saying, the next exciting bit is how can we automate the traditional manual delivery mechanism of data products? And how can we automate that using the latest technologies that we've got? And then we'll have a slide which shows us the final summary and the takeaways from this session in here. So this graphic, which we've created here, sort of really sums up everything in one slide. And what it's basically trying to show you is that, with organizations, they don't really just move slowly because they lack ambition. Everybody wants to achieve things better and faster and smarter, etc. but they're hindered by the fact that normal delivery is sometimes manual, it's fragmented, and it's governed afterwards as a sort of checkbox exercise rather than governance being built in. And so each one of these friction points or highlights, as we can see on the graphic here, adds delays and weeks to the delivery cycle. And the end issue is that the products, when they are delivered, can you really trust those? Is the data what you're expecting the data to be? And so there's always this question of having a data which is actually trusted. But before we actually look at how this pipeline or how this process can be improved, let's just make a bit of a sort of common platform and understand what we mean by some of the common terms. So everybody talks about data, raw data, and things called data assets, yeah? And when we're talking about data assets, what we're really talking about is the data itself as the deliverable, yeah? And so this might be some sort of set of tables which you can access, some files which you can share. There could be XML, Excel, or some database files which you can share. There might be some feeds which are coming in. There might be some APIs. But really, they're basically just raw data just being passed around in some way or another. And they normally will have some sort of minimal business context, limited service level agreements or ownership in there. And it's really down to the end consumer themselves to adapt that particular data that they've got for their own purposes. And there's a couple of examples here, where we've got the stock history function, which is available in Excel. It'll provide you with the data, but it's down to you to analyze that and treat it in the way that you see fit to give you insight and information that you're interested in. Similarly, there's an organization here in the UK which is called the Office for National Statistics, and they provide public data set statistics. And again, it's down to you to take that data and work it out. So the key takeaway from this slide is that a data asset is something which is raw, or it's been created and it's been made available for reuse, but that reuse has not been defined specifically. So it hasn't been packaged for a specific business outcome. Now, if you contrast that with what we're talking about as a data product, now a data product is slightly different. And in this instance, what we're trying to do is we're going to be ensuring that the raw data asset that we've got is actually delivered through applied governance, yeah? It's going to be applying some automated, or not necessarily automated, but some sort of metadata to fully define what that data is. There may be techniques which help you to automate the design of that data product, so that you can package it into a meaningful package for delivery, yeah? There's going to be elements of ensuring that that data product itself has some sort of quality dimensions which you can measure, yeah? And understanding and defining those, yeah? And then obviously what we want to do is to provide specific data product features, Does that data product have a clear and specific purpose and usage for it, yeah? And sorry, just a quick check. Can people hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. There's some chats going on that somebody couldn't hear me. Mm-hmm. So, with the data product features, yes, we've got a specific purpose for that data product. The structure of the data itself that is being delivered is well defined. There are some documentation which describes that data package and how you're expecting it to be used. There's also service level agreements in place where it tells you how fresh that data is, how often is it renewed and refreshed, and what is the quality of that. And often I think about data products much like a product that you would buy from a shop. It'll be packaged in a box. It'll tell you what is contained in that package and how to use that product and what you can expect out of it and its application and what purpose it's designed for. Yeah. Whereas a raw data asset is simply that, it's just raw data which is unavailable or which is available. And then the key other thing with the data product is that people have a known marketplace where it gets published to, where it can be accessed. So people haven't got to go and hunt and find and discover the data that they're interested in. It's actually available in a published marketplace, which means it's managed and governed and owned by people, so that it's a single source where people can go and find that particular data is in there. And as I was saying before, the big shift now really is that AI, artificial intelligence, can now be applied at many of these steps that you can see in here, from designing the architectures, discovering the architectures, to creating a data product, to actually publishing those into the marketplace. And the whole idea being to accelerate and shorten this delivery time. And the end result of this, hopefully, is going to be that data is trusted, it's discoverable, consumable, scalable, and delivered faster. So here's some real life examples of what we're talking about when we're talking about data products in the real world. So you might be familiar with things like the Salesforce dashboard. Yeah, everybody, no doubt, goes along every day and checks what the weather predictions are for the day or for the week, or if they're about to go on holiday. And so those are examples of data products where they have been curated for a specific business purpose. Yeah, so they've got specific curated data in there. If you're looking at your weather predictions and analytics, you want to know, is that data fresh in there? And can I rely on that? What do we actually mean by the different parameters in there? And it's all self-service. I can go in and select a different county or a city or a country where I want to go and take a look at that weather. Another example is these data integrated systems. And again, here in the UK, there are systems which the government uses and private organizations use for real-time tax fraud scoring, and credit card fraud detection. And what that involves is providing real live pipelines of activity and content and information, which is all being analyzed by automated artificial intelligence and machine learning models. And that data that's being consumed is being continuously monitored, and then actions or suggestions are being created automatically. And when I say automatically, they can even be created to the point where, if there's any action to be taken, letters or prompts or emails can be sent out even before a human being or a human person actually gets to realize, without any involvement of a human being in there. Other examples are data feeds and APIs. So, for example, if you happen to use Google Maps or Waze, the route optimization is dependent upon real live data of the traffic at any one particular location, or if there's any hazards which have been identified on the journey that you're coming along. And another example is product recommendations. So if you've been shopping on Amazon, you'll find that sometimes it pops up with a prompt to say, other people have bought this item when you bought this item, and making suggestions in there. And so in this instance, you're going to have APIs providing that continuous feed. There's going to be reusable features within there. So those are examples of data products in the real world. And to move from the current way of delivering data products, to having an automated way using artificial intelligence, it means that we've got to move away from having traditional data delivery to AI-powered data products, And that means moving away from just simply having a push scenario where you are pushing content through a pipeline, to the opposite end where you've got specific domains which are owning data products. So rather than just pushing out data, there's going to be a pull which somebody says, right, I'm the operations director or the operations business. I need to know what my stock levels are, and I need to pull that in there. Moving away from one-off reports to having reusable data assets in there. Moving away from manual delivery to AI automated factories, and these automated factories can help you find the type of data that you're interested in, find out how that data is related to other data that you might be interested in, and accelerating the discovery and the creation and packaging of these data products in there. And again, with reactive governance, moving away from that as governance via checkboxes to something which is governed by design. Having separate siloed teams and moving that away to cross-functional collaboration. Having individual point tools to having a single integrated platform. That's the way that the industry is moving and is necessary in order to be able to accelerate the delivery of these data products in there. So what that actually means, what's the value of this? Yeah. Well, if we can deliver data products faster, quicker, smarter, and there is more trust in those, then people will be able to rely on those. They know that they can trust those. They can trust the quality which is in there. And if we can accelerate the delivery of that data product, the time to value is going to be reduced. We can scale up so we can deliver more data products per delivery life per month, per week than would be otherwise possible just using manual processes, manual efforts in there. We're looking to reduce the number of incidents, the breakages in any pipelines that we've got for the delivery of the data products. And we're looking to reduce the risk and the cost per data product. So looking at this, it's all about trying to increase the quality of the assets that we've got, but delivering the data products faster, smarter, and quicker, which is of great value for us. So how do we actually go about doing this? You know, I've talked about it being a automated process. Obviously, there's manual processes which are involved, but one of the ways that we can do this is using what is now the Irwin Quest Automated Data Product Factory. Yeah. And what this is looking to do is to accelerate the data product delivery, but do it in such a way that what you're doing is you're looking to build your data products using, for example, in here, we're going to try and use AI to help us to generate a complete logical data model specification based on some natural language input. And the idea behind this is that AI is going to understand what you are asking it and then understand the content that you're looking for, then to determine the semantic relationships between the entities and the attributes which already exist in your cataloged assets in there. And not only being able to make use of those assets, but any industry standards that might be, or best practices that might be, and to create a data product based on existing assets that you've got in there. But the first thing that we can also do in this automated data product factory is, rather than try to invent the wheel, is can we find something which already exists? Yeah. If there's a data product which happens to exist, we will try to encourage users to reuse that rather than reinvent it. Yeah. But if we have to invent it, then of course, obviously, we can go along and get the platform itself to generate a model for us. Yeah. So in this scenario here, based on that natural language input that we've had, these entities that it's proposing, the ones which are colored in green, are the ones that it's been able to create and match against the existing catalog of assets which are available in your catalogs. Yeah. So it's proposed some data assets and been able to match those to the existing entities that you've got in there. Whereas the ones here in grey are the ones it's suggesting could be possible assets that you need to create, but it's creating the metadata here for you and including its relationships in here. And the idea then is that we take this, and based on that identified set of semantic relationships and the entities that we've got in there, to go along and create the technical specifications for a data product and to publish it into the data marketplace. And the idea in the data marketplace is that others then can go along and discover that. They can go and search for it, and it's available to a very larger audience, and it's delivered in there complete with the metadata specifications and the technical specifications and any usage and its limitations and its definition and description of that data product is in there. And not only that, but what we can also do within the data marketplace is to have end user reviews and feedback on what the end users have found when they've been using that particular data product. So you can see in here, we've got some feedbacks in here, we've got some ratings in there, and we've also got in here what is a trust score. So in this example here, the gold trust score is actually something which is based on a number of existing parameters. Now I'm only showing you three parameters in here, but this can be customized up to about 9 different parameters to build up that gold trust score. And they could be based on what the data quality measurements are, what the user ratings are, how complete that asset itself is. Yeah. So if we can actually do that, we can use natural language and artificial intelligence and automate the delivery of our pipeline. What that means then is that with the AI, it augments the engineers and automates the repetitive parts of that life cycle and the tasks which are in there. And if it's AI driven, what it's doing, it's using the natural language data models, applying industry standards, and it's business context aware from the business terms that it's got in there. And those are all factored into the identification and the proposal of the actual data, the metadata that is required in there. And all of this can be powered by, for example, the Irwin DI suite and the Irwin data modeler. Yeah. And again, using the enterprise-wide definitions from the Irwin data models, the enterprise schemas, as well as the business glossaries in there. So we're looking to help automate this and create this automatically. And as part of the tool set, not only that, but we can also generate code for the schemas that we might require, or the databases, or the data, or the feeds that we might require. And again, if we're using the tools, we can use those to help us to create documentation. And again, the tool set and the platform will help us to wrap this up into a data product and publish it. Publish it as a data product, deploy it to the marketplace, collect those feedbacks, reviews. Yeah. And so the automated data product platform can be embedded across the different stages of the life cycle. And then that means that, success comes from the integration and the meta-driven automation rather than tools and rather than being dependent on a manual process to deliver this. Yeah. So if you're an executive and you're looking at this, well, here's some factors which you really need to consider in here. And one of those is really, you need to move away from thinking about raw data as something that you push out, but rather moving to a mindset which is thinking of data products as strategic assets measured by the business domains. So we're moving away from pipelines to products, yeah. If we have a standardized platform as the foundation where we can automate things and people can use those to accelerate the delivery of the data products, then we're making the delivery repeatable, governed, and automated. And so we're moving away from manual to automated. And also that means that instead of small scale deliveries, because we're able to scale up, we can go away from small scale deliveries to industrial scale delivery of data products in there. And again, if we've got the AI and the tools, as I said, they augment and amplify the capabilities of the teams that are involved in this. And that means that we can enable delivery at scale without necessarily adding headcount. And so that means that we can deliver more from a slower speed to being able to operate and deliver at a faster speed in there. So where do we start in this? If you're looking at this, well, the first thing you need to do is say and ask yourself, what have you actually got? What data products do you have right at this moment in time? And create an inventory of those pipelines and data products and see if you can identify any of those which you can be potential candidates for part of an inclusion in a pilot, for example. If you're looking to do a pilot, work out what the scope of that is. Do you want to do a proof of concept, which will be in situ, in place, or do you want to do a proof of technology, or do you want to do something else? Yeah. And as part of that, obviously, we need teams to come along and be part of that initial phase in there, and we need to determine who's going to be doing what and when, what the size of that team is, and what tool sets they're going to be using in there, and also to develop this marketplace where you can actually deliver the content or the data products too. Yeah. So then with that in mind, let me just hand over back to Alan, and he can wrap it here.
Yes, so I hope you found this session useful. If you would like to find out more, don't hesitate to contact me, and we can explore it, possibly tailored to your environment or situation. So please take note of the information on this slide, and please give me a shout if you need to.